right, cool guys. So Ryan from Industry Threadworks here. We're here with Kevin Ullman. He's built an incredible brand, Savage Tacticians. 8 years in the Marine Corps. He's built Savage Tacticians from over the 11 years of its conception into. You guys are going on. It was $10 million this year. Yeah, it's been sick. We used to work together in production, but I've been a fan of this brand for a long time, and we've been friends for years. So this is a super cool opportunity that you don't do interviews very often, right? Now. Yeah, yeah. So this is a super cool opportunity to get a kind of behind the scenes look at exactly how a brand like this is built from the ground up, how you can take your experience from the military or first responder or whatever that experience is and put it to use in a creative endeavor mixed with the analytics and all the infrastructure pieces. We're sitting in his warehouse now. We're in his studio for his podcast, Light Duty, which we're going to film after this. But then this is inside of his warehouse here in Wilmington, North Carolina, and it's sick. It's like you walk in, like you can see the attention to detail with that version. Yeah, it looks good. Man, most warehouses you walk in, it looks like a disaster. Like it looks really good. So those of you guys watching, I know you guys are watching with a purpose. You got shit to do, so we're gonna try to keep this as action-packed, intentional information for you guys. Hopefully 20 to 30 minutes. And my goal of this is for you guys to come out of this with a plethora of notes on action items you can take today to either start your brand or scale your brand, or maybe just realize some of the mistakes that you've been making and then, kind of pull up and not make the same mistakes that you and I made building our own brands.
You're the guinea pigs.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we'll start with your personal background. We'll try to keep it brief, but I think the context matters to a lot of people because a lot of viewers, they see somebody at a certain level and they think, oh, that'll never me. I can't do that. So just pretty brief, like, how did you grow up? Was it a crazy upbringing or was it pretty normal, or how was that? And then how did that translate to the military, and how did your military experience translate into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I grew up, I was a Navy brat. So I grew up with my dad in the Navy, moved around a lot. But I think with that, he brought a lot of work home, and we kind of felt like we were in the military a little bit with discipline and manners and with work ethic. My dad had us young age, like painting, doing drywall, framing walls, shingling roofs and all.
Free labor, dude. Yeah.
So, I kind of, at a young age, that work ethic was instilled in me through my dad. And as I got older, I learned that I like money and buying things. So I was cutting grass, just doing, odd end work like that. Growing up, I wanted to go kart, so I was just hustling.
You've always had that kind of entrepreneurial mindset.
Oh yeah, okay. As I got into high school and could drive, I would work summer and through the school year. Summertime, I'd take on 2 jobs. So I'd work at like Food Line, for example, is one of the jobs. I would work there, stock the shelves from 11 at night to 7 in the morning, have an hour off, change, and then go right to McDonald's in the next parking lot and work till about 3. And then I would kind of go home and chill.
I think most people, when they look at entrepreneurship from the outside, they don't have an appreciation for the work involved, and they just see the success, like the cool cars, and they're like, oh, it's easy, because everybody shows just the good parts, just a highlight reel, and they don't show the grind, the late nights, the self-doubt, just the feeling like you're alone and crazy all the time. So it's perfect. Okay. So you did that, and then during the Marine Corps for 8 years. And then what from that experience, because we're going to try to get to the action items, but what from that experience did you use to start Savage Tacticians? Like, it was transferable and applicable from that.
Well, originally, my plan was to be a lifer in the Marine Corps.
Really?
Yeah, and then, I had knee surgery and then shoulder surgery and then shoulder surgery. So dealing with all that in light duty, changing command has happened, and people are like, who the hell is Sergeant Ullman? This dude's on light duty all the time. And it put a bad taste on mouth, being in the top 10% of my CO's bit reps to surgery, change of command happens, and then I'm just a broke dick. So I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna exit the Marine Corps. This is when private security was still doing pretty good. So I had some buddies doing that, and I was like, I think I'm gonna get out and just go private. I already do exits. Money was good and everything, but nothing is guaranteed as a contractor, that it can go away tomorrow.
But stripper money, easy on, easy go. Yeah. There's no retirement.
No retirement, and that it got me thinking, because I had, at the time my son was young, and I was like, man, what am I gonna do? I was like, this goes away, because there was always that, that E3, that Link Scorpion Underground, as they like say, the people talking, oh, the program's going away, and I getting funded, this and this and this, and it put a fear in me. I was like, am I going to go back in the Marine Corps? Like, what am I going to do? Go back to school? Because I attended college a few times. It wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So laying in bed in Afghanistan, I was like, I think I'm gonna start a apparel company, like, some crazy brand new idea that nobody else would think of, starting in a t-shirt company, right? So, but I was like, I'm gonna call it Vet Life. I'm gonna encompass all the branches and whatnot. And
this is like 2014 at the time.
this is 2014, and I don't know, the designs were just Vet Life, that whole play on like Salt Life and everything. So
yeah.
I wanted to kind of encompass everybody, because I felt like I didn't really wear like grunt style and all that stuff, but I feel like it was very isolating to just grunts or whatever.
Yeah.
Just the thought of it, they ran. So I was like, I'm gonna get something that brings everybody together. And I started making stuff, and I got a lot of people who were like, hey, I'm not a vet, but you got some cool stuff, and I don't want to feel like stolen valor. I was like, man, no. So we ended up changing the brand name, just because I wanted to. It went from trying to incorporate all branches to a lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that's, so many people are afraid to take that first step because they think they need to have had everything mapped out. And I tell them, like, about half the brands I talk to end up changing their name at some point. We changed the name. Forge was the third name they came up with. Our first one was Drug Fight Fuck, which is obviously very niche. Yeah, Mikey, my old business partner, came up with that one, and thank God we changed it. And then changed the name of our film company 3 times. Yeah, it's a normal thing. So I think people, like, they think they can't change the name, and there is some nuance to it, and it does take a little bit of work, but it's not impossible to change the name. But don't get caught up, like, don't not take a step because you're worried what step 10 might be. Like, take steps 1 through 3, and then if you come across you have to change it, it's totally fine to change it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's brands much larger out there. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like I tell people, is, SatTac, I'm still very small in the grand scheme of apparel brands and whatnot.
It's so crazy. Like, the bigger you have, the smaller you feel.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, and not enough time in the day, man. But there's brands that are way bigger that have changed their name and gone on to continue to be successful. So I went and let that get you tripped up. This whole path of entrepreneurship, some people are just built for it and they're natural. Some people just have that drive in them to create something, and I think those people, I think I fall into that. And it's a learning experience. So you're gonna make mistakes. So just you just gotta keep that in mind, that you are gonna make mistakes, but nothing is permanent. You can change course.
So you got to learn to enjoy the process, I think. Oh yeah, like, just, you're gonna get punched in the face. Like, you just gotta enjoy fighting. It's like getting in the ring. Like, it would be unrealistic to get in the ring and be a fighter and then be surprised the first time you get punched in the face. Like, entrepreneurship is a fight. You're gonna get punched in the face sometimes. Like, but if you're surprised about it because you think it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna be a good day. Or if you know it going in, that's part of what we want to do here, is to highlight, like, the realities of entrepreneurship, because I think a lot of people would have a lot better time and a lot more success and fun with entrepreneurship if they knew how hard it was going in, because then they're not surprised and caught off guard when, the first time, your website goes down, you're the supplier.
Oh, you're gonna manage it.
Yeah, you're gonna pay. Yeah, it's part of the process, bro. All right, cool. So you've been around the apparel space for a long time. You also have other businesses too, which I don't know if I'll have time to get into, but you're a seasoned, experienced entrepreneur, so you probably get these questions all the time. But one of the main ones that I get too is, what would your advice be to someone telling you they want to start an apparel?
You don't have no other idea, no other bright ideas to do, because apparel stuff. And I don't, and I'm honest when someone asks me that, I'm straight up and I tell them the same thing. Like, it's not to discourage someone, but growing an apparel brand from start is hard, and it's even harder when you're a nobody. I'm a nobody, you know. I don't come from some Hollywood family. I don't come from, some big trust fund. I have all these connections. I'm a nobody that decided to start a apparel brand. So apparel is extremely hard. But if that's what you're into, I say go after it, and you're gonna learn either you've got something or you don't have something. And I think the hard part is no one likes to lose, but you in time you're gonna know if you don't have something. It's that doesn't mean it's the end. It just means you know you might have to take a different course of action and start over. And it's as much as that sucks to say, learn, take what you've learned and start over, and then and hopefully you can avoid whatever pitfalls you encountered the first time.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of what I want to do here is highlight some of that stuff too. We'll definitely get into some of those questions, but it's funny you say that because that, even though like my main business is helping brands start and scale, and anybody asks me, like, I want to start a apparel line, my first thing is like, don't do it. If you think it's gonna be fun, if you think it's going to be a moneymaker, if you think that you're going into for the wrong reasons. However, if you have a passion for it, if you want to create, if you're like a visionary and you're driven and you have an eye for the analytics of it, like then you might be successful with it. But if you want to just go in because you think it's be a moneymaker and fun and easy, don't fucking do it. There's way easier ways to do it. Like
You're gonna work way more than you ever thought that you were going to do it.
doesn't have that easy. So you've also been around, experienced like a bunch of your friends have brands, obviously, and you've seen brands come and go over 11 years in the space. What actually separates the brands that stay stuck at like a few $1,000s a month versus the brands that scale to like a few $1,000s or $10,000 or $100,000 per month? Like, is there any pattern that you can see, or was it a lucky break, or there's certain switches and dials or levers they pull to kind of make those jumps?
I think it's a combination. So if you're making a bunch of stuff that nobody likes, you're not really gonna really get anywhere. To touch on that, I kind of learned, you got to stop listening to everybody out there, and understand this is your customer, your customers. You want to give them what they want, but something that in the military we always said is, there's always gonna be that 10% that fuck it up for the 90. All right, so the way I apply that now is I kind of ignore the 10% of the customers that, always nagging or saying stuff. And I've learned to just create stuff that I think is cool.
Yeah.
That I like. And then come to be a surprise, there's a lot of people that like it too. So I think going after, creating your product and sticking with it, but I think it's also a combination of capital. I mean,
Yeah.
I was in a position making good money in the private security sector, and I didn't have a lot of bills being out of the military, and so I was able to just take those and I financed everything on my own, out of pocket. Yeah, it's a big gamble, but I didn't have any loans, and I had a really good job that supported me. So as SAPTAC went on, and grew over the years, is very slow growth because I didn't pour a lot of money into marketing. And that's where I come back around to the capital. Is you got to have capital for products and marketing to get the word out, because again, being a nobody, you're trying to share your product, it's not going to get out there if you don't have the money to back it up.
Yes, that's funny, dude. Like when you're growing the business, I mean, most business fall, they're unicorns and exceptions, obviously, but when you're growing a business, you never have any fucking money, which is a weird thing. You think when you're growing a business, oh, money's coming in, I'm doing great, but that's not true, especially in a SKU heavy or an inventory heavy model like apparel, because like you sell, $10,000 a week and stuff, like awesome. But if my lead time on that apparel is 2 weeks, that means, and I've been sold out because I didn't manage my inventory right. Now I've got to spend another $5K to get the 10K. I'm sold out, so I'm making nothing next week. So you're constantly juggling all these things all the time. And if you don't do it right, something falls, and then your return ad spend tanks, and then your ads tank and they don't recover. And then there's so many moving parts to it that it's like all these people think it's that big misconception, like, oh, you have a growing company, you have money. Like, no, it's the opposite. Like, you usually don't have money until you either stop growing or you sell it.
Yeah,
because it's still growing. It eats up all your money.
Yeah,
It's a weird thing.
it's inventory, we're very SKU heavy, so I'm living that nightmare every day.
To have it reorders and forecasting, very for sure. We'll try to keep this one brief because it's kind of I think we have a unique opportunity to get a glimpse into how you're running the stuff. But social media is also a big question that people come up like, how should they run their social media? Do you have any just tips that you could give the audience? Like, how obviously they got to pay attention to social media. Is there like a basic plan, like, hey, do this, this, and this, and don't do these other things for them for like media they're starting out?
My thoughts on social, I think 3 things that always perform the best. Funny, everyone loves to laugh. People love to share that with their friends. Educational, if you can provide some sort of knowledge to me and I can take that and apply it in the real world, you've just given them something for free, so they're going to come back to that. So making someone laugh, funny, giving them some kind of knowledge, and motivational. I think when people are down and whatnot, they look for something to help lift them up. And if you can be that voice for them, whether it's on social or just a product that you're making, you're going to have them coming back. So I think, funny, educational, and motivational are 3 things to promote on your social that will help you grow.
Yeah, and I would say too, one of the things you do really well is the authenticity piece, which is a growing currency now. Like we see these brands, like the age of like pretending to do shit is over now. Like people are gonna see through it. So if you're a new brand starting your stuff, like you got to be, if you're gonna start a brand about something, you really need to be in and of that something.
Oh yeah,
We're truly involved in it. Because if you're not, like people find out, and then it's at the word.
it's funny you just brought it up because that's something like people will ask me like what was the driving factor by behind creating Savage? I need to source the income.
Yeah.
I mean, if my security job went away, what was I gonna do? That was my backup plan. And I like to tell people, I wish I had some like deep, meaningful story of why I started this, because I needed to raise money. My mother's died from cancer, and
Sometimes that comes later though.
that it does come later, but just staying true and authentic to who you are. Like I didn't want to create or fabricate a story to tug at heartstrings to make people, oh, this is awesome. Because now I got to put on this act always. So I just wanted to create cool shit that I could sell and make a living.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's it.
it's business. Okay. So as a brand, it might be different because it's been so long since you've been at a good size scale for a while. But if a brand is scaling now and they're looking to outsource, their bandwidth is getting tight, like what are the first things that they should look at outsourcing? Is it like if they're heat pressing in-house, is that something that they should outsource? If they're filling in-house, if they're doing design in-house, customer service, advertising, market, there's so many things. Like you run all the hats in the beginning.
Yeah.
What would be your number one suggestion to like start outsourcing these things as the brand grows?
I think it depends on their situation too. If cash flow is tight, I think looking at services like fulfillment or screen printing outside, like print on demand type stuff. That way you're not having to cough up a bunch of capital for rent, for employees, for buying the inventory to hold it. So create your product. Find a service that you might shrink your margins are going to shrink a little bit, but there's no capital coming out of pocket. You're getting the product out there, you're selling it, and you're just getting your profit, right? So I think as you're scaling, obviously you want as much to be in-house, but you're going to get to a point where it's going to be like Ryan saying, you're wearing all the hats, it's going to be too much. You're going to have to start outsourcing. And if capital is an issue, I think that fulfillment, the printing and all that stuff would be like the first step. I mean, I think you could easily still handle your customer service in-house. I mean, content. I mean, there's going to get to a point where, you're going to have to, get someone inside or outside. But again, if you're in the early stages and you're still growing, I think you could still handle, content in-house and whatnot. But
Yeah, if you guys do run fulfillment,
yep, we do. I've always done my own fulfillment. Again, I was in that position where I wasn't stressing for the funds to do that. I supported my business with my own funds from the get-go. But yeah, I would say I mean, and if funds are not an issue, if cash, getting cash ejection isn't an issue, and you can support all that, um, I would say marketing would be probably one of the biggest things that you need to outsource, unless you just know someone you can hire and you can bring them in. But marketing is always going to be your biggest expense, uh, month to month for sure. But you're going to get to a point where you want all that stuff to come back, because then you're gonna get to the point you're gonna scale to the size where outsourcing is going to get really expensive, and then you can buy like a building and the mortgage or is going to be way cheaper.
Yeah. Speaking of that, a little caveat to that. So when you were hiring your first employee, what was that apex point where you realized like, oh shit, I need to hire this person? And what was it for?
In my position, it was because I was deploying.
Oh,
I needed someone that could fulfill orders. I was screen printing, but when I would go away, I would outsource the screen printing. I remember one time I flew into DC from Afghanistan, drove down because it was actually faster for me to drive than wait for a flight. Got home, got some to eat, got some nookie, and went straight to the warehouse, screen printed, and fulfilled orders for like 12 hours.
wow.
Yeah, so yeah.
That's what it takes, man.
That was from the apartment to a garage to my first, small warehouse. But for me, finding someone that could be there when I was away. If I was here and I am not deploying anymore and doing the business from the start, my first hire, honestly, it would my first employee, it would probably be to help with fulfillment or whatnot.
Makes sense. Okay, so if the audience, and there's so much stuff we get into, but I'm gonna try to chop this up into actionable items so that if they want to start an apparel line, they've decided it's what they want to do, they're committed to it. What are the steps that they should take now? Because I mean, there's so many different things, so many different scales, obviously, but there's like getting the name. How do you do that? How do you test that? Look for that, because there's this obviously conflict and all that different stuff. You guys are registrar, you've got the domain agents, you've got the business entities, LLCs, S corp, C corp, all this stuff, e-com platforms, how to select designs, how to do fulfillment, how to handle social media. Like what are the 5 things that you would suggest? Like if I came to you now, like, hey man, I want to start an apparel line and follow your footsteps, what are the 5 things that you would suggest I do?
Find your name for your business, what you want, and then you need to cross-reference, your state and national database for other businesses' names and what's trademarked. If everything checks out there, get your URL locked in, and then from there, I would register your entity with your state. You could do LLC or S corp, but I would recommend, you're a new entity starting off LLC, and then as you scale and grow, you would file a form that can basically tell the IRS, tax me as an S corp, and that's just gonna help you with certain taxes.
One of those things that we change later.
Yeah. But start the LLC, get yourself registered, find a platform that you want to use. You want to build a website like Shopify or Wix or BigCommerce. Is BigCommerce still around?
I think so. Because we see into a lot of different brands, and Shopify seems to be
Right. Shopify is king. I started off with BigCommerce back in the day, but Shopify is they evolve so quick, and they have so much passive. Well, the way to look at it is that we were talking at dinner. They're like the Amazon for e-com, but they have all these people developing stuff, and then they look at what's working for brands, and they pretty much build it into the platform, and so you're eventually gonna not have to need those apps, whatever. But nowadays, it's with AI. This should be very streamlined for you guys starting out. I mean, you don't have to do as much of the legwork as like you and I did back in the day.
Yeah, it was a lot back then.
I remember watching YouTube videos on how to file a trademark and filing my own trademarks and everything. And that's
Now I know why I pay attorneys to do so much. A little thing on that people might find valuable. So the USPTO.gov is where you can go to check the initial trademarks, but like all government sites, it's a fucking shit show. So Trademarkia.com is one of the new lately. And that is super easy to use. It's all free. And I just search stuff there. And if I need to search like actual records, then I go to USPTO.gov. And then what are your thoughts on, because I get this question all the time, is should I start a company in Delaware? Because we're in California, so we get booked in a lot of shit. Yeah. And people are like, should I start a company in Delaware or California? What are your thoughts on doing that versus just the state that you're in?
Yeah, it's a tough one because when I did my private security, I created an S corp, and that was based out of Florida for state taxes. I've kicked this idea around, maybe moving SabTac to the headquarters to a different state, but I haven't done it. Everything's here. Sometimes it just makes things a little simpler, so I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's done every day, and I think it's something that's like the LLC and S corp. I think start here as you grow and you find success and you're scaling really well and you want to save on some taxes, move the headquarters you're into to a state that doesn't pay state taxes. Now you're still going to pay state taxes. Now all the states talk, and after you sell so much product or a dollar amount to that state, you develop Nexus, and they basically look at that now as if you are an entity in that state, and they're going to make you pay. And the taxes,
You have to pay not only the state, but the county. And it's impossible to track. I think TaxJar is the app on the back end that does it, but I think
Avalera is one that we'd use. Yeah,
there's a few on the back end.
that's a headache.
Yeah. So definitely just want to have an app that does that.
But again, that's something to worry about as you go down later down the road. I mean, some of these states, to reach Nexus, you have to do $100,000 to $500,000 in sales, or it might be like 10,000, 100,000 customers, whichever one you hit first. But that's something you don't have to worry about for someone that's just starting out. That's something to keep in the back of your mind.
So we'll just shotgun a couple last minute questions. So they're in the same vein of this. So like the steps that people are taking on this, because the product is obviously hugely important. What are your thoughts on finding a blank for when you're first starting out, finding a blank for your product?
I wish someone told me this when I first started. I wasted so much money. When I first started, I had one guy say, "Oh yeah, I use these shirts on this from this guy," and it was like some small little mill out west, and all he would do was making his own shirts, and I was like, "These are great," So I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna use that." Then my buddy says, "But come to find out is the collar stretched out real easily, and it was a nightmare." And so my recommendation is, find a mill or a third party that sells blanks. It's super easy to look up. I know like S&S Activewear is a huge one, but a local one for me is called Carolina Made. But usually these companies will carry tons of apparel brands, and they're all
Like a distributor of blank.
Yeah, thank you. And my suggestion would be going back, 14, ish years, 11 years, whatever, and telling, younger Kevin, like, dude, find something you like out there and just order the stuff. Order it, wash it, wear it, and find out what you like. Again, don't think too much into it. Like, what they might not like this, or think you might not like that. Find what you think is comfortable, what you think is quality, what fits, what wears well, what washes well, and go that route. Yeah, don't just take someone's word for it, like I did, and burn some dough. But do the legwork yourself. Find a distributor, a local distributor, or online. I think S&S, I don't know where they're at around.
Yeah, they're national. So you definitely sounds like you're definitely suggesting doing a blank first before, because custom cut and sew is cool, but that's a whole different operation.
Oh yeah.
And most of the brands that come to us, they think, because they get bad advice everywhere, and they're like, "Aren't you those custom cut and sew shit?" My bro,
trust me, you not only custom cut and sew unless you're doing like at least $1 million a year.
Yeah, so we use another good thing is, again, find out what you like, because if you get to the point that you want to start doing your own custom cut and sew like items, you already know what you like, what the fit is. So you can be like, build out a tech pack, find a designer, build out a tech pack for your shirt. Maybe there's little things you want to change or whatnot. And then you're going to find a factory, whether, it could be in the US, it could be Colombia, Mexico, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, China, and wherever. And
Quality stuff these days, man.
dude, I mean, that you just gotta find out what works for you, price wise and material, and get your tech back, get it, and then build it out that way. But I think absolutely starting out, go with a blank. Go with a distributor, get a blank.
And then the last couple of things. So on the design aspect, how many designers do you think they should launch, and how many colors of each design?
Oh, initial launch. So early on, I did this thing where I thought I had to have like one of every color or say whatnot, right? So again, learning curve, learning experience for me is stop worrying about what everybody says, because what drove me to that was, oh, I love this shirt, but it'd be great if it was in blue. And then someone would go, oh, this is great. If you have red, I said, yeah, red and blue I could have. I already got white, I could have 3 times the sales.
Yep.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. All right. If white shirt is selling and is doing really well, there's nothing wrong with testing other colors if that's what you want to do. But to listen to the crowd and be like, I need to make these because, this guy and this guy and this guy said these colors, it just doesn't work. That capital's going to sit on a shelf. It's going to move slow. I mean, or you can hit a home run and they all sell, but don't do that. Pick a color, start with it. As far as how many designs to start with, I mean, that's up to you. I would definitely say if you're starting a t-shirt, a brand, have at least, 4 or 5 designs, but don't just have shirts. Maybe see about get some hats, some accessories, add a little weight to your catalog, so you don't look so basic and new, add a little meat. But yeah, I think a few shirts, 5, 6 shirts, a couple accessories, and I would say go with one color to start off with. Find out what your sellers are, what people are liking, what's moving. So our Send It shirt is a really big, I sent it, and my guy Dan Doss, he's been really pushing me for a long time to branch that shirt out in different colors, and I finally, I pulled the trigger, and it's doing really well. So again, you can do multiple colors, but just find out what works.
Yeah.
Don't try to start out the gate with 5 colors. But
Red, black first, and then a secondary color.
you can't go wrong with black. It's the most bought apparel color.
So this is the last question, then they got to get rolling on your podcast. And it's 2 parts basically. So ads and marketing. So how to get your brand in front of people besides like your family and everything, and also in that vein, how to finance it, and maybe a realistic expectation of cost and timeline before you can like feel like, okay, I'm moving forward, I'm recouping my costs, these things are like working.
So the person was
so ads and marketing, how to get your brand in front of people.
okay.
And then as it's scaling, how much that should relatively cost, and a timeline for like, is that a 6-month process, an 18-month process? Like,
So for getting your brand in front of people is essentially just gonna come down to 1, capital, 2, someone that knows what they're doing. You've got to have someone behind the scenes, ads. I know a lot of us just see it in the feed, but it is a science. So get someone that knows what they're doing, capital, someone that can run your ads, and then have, a photographer that can really put quality content together. And A/B test it. So, go a serious route, and then maybe go a funny route. Maybe go I don't know how to explain, just a casual kind of look, or maybe a luxury look. Kind of test it out, see what's hitting for your brand. So, Mark, that's how you're gonna get out. You got to test what people are feeling for you, what they like, what kind of content they like.
how much should they be paying per day on ad spend just to like start out?
Starting out, I think a good base to really start out. If you're very new, like new, I think, you know, $500 a month and slowly start scaling it. But I think you want to get to at least that $5,000 a month. I think $5,000 a month is the sweet spot where you're really gonna start getting traction, getting it in front of a lot more a bigger audience. But you can't out the gate, you can't hit it with, you know, that larger money. You've got to, the platform, your account has got to learn. There's a pixel, and you'll learn all about that stuff, but it's got to learn, you know, what kind of people are interacting with your ads. So it will learn that your customer base, and it will slowly scale and grow there. Yeah, you want to get to that $3,000 to $5,000 a month, I think, and then just scale it up from there. And if you have a good ad guy, they're gonna slowly walk you up and do it right.
How long do you think they should expect to get to that $3,000 to $5,000 a month if things are starting to like work and progress?
I mean, if you're brand new,
Like an average brand.
if you got an established brand, but you're still like, maybe let's say you're only doing $250,000 a year in sales, and you decide that, you know what, this is the year I want to put money into marketing and really grow. I think 3 to 6 months, you can get to that $5,000 a month range in a nice steady pace that's not gonna hurt your growth, your ad account or anything like that. So yeah.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Well, dude, that's all the questions. We're wrapping this. Dude, it's funny to hear your answers. Because I've been wanting to ask. We've had a bunch of conversations about wanting to ask these questions all the time anyway. So thank you for taking time to come in and do this. And it's funny too, because like your answers are the exact same thing that I've been telling the audience for years. I'm like, this is the way. Do it this way. And it's just like, you see the patterns after a while. Most of these things are growing in the same way. There's a million different options. It's just that some of them tend to work better than others. And after you make all the wrong decisions, normally you're left with a few key decisions that like, this is generally like, you know, an accepted path. Yes. But dude, thanks for sharing all this stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, brother.
Thanks for having me. All right. Well, again, Kevin Ullman from Savage Tacticians. Check out his other stuff too. Bulkhead Energy is amazing. And we're about to film his podcast Light Duty, which is just, we're going to have some drinks and have fun. Shoot the shit, talk shit. It's going to be amazing. Thanks for tuning in.